Hello there, Starlets. So it's been a really long while since I've done a altar video, I think, for YouTube specifically. So I decided we would do one for Beltane on the Avalonian Priestess altar. So this is a mixture of Avalon priestessing. This is the working altar for Patreon cycles. It's not either the Morrigan altar or the Ceridwen altar, which I tend to keep a little bit more private for my own personal use, but this is one that people get a good look at anyway, so I thought I would show it to you. It's a little bit glorious. If I do say so myself, I'm feeling it. And so we're going to talk about it. I will mention that I did have a love spell on here to draw the correct love into my life and help empower me. And it's made a mess. And I've just kind of like left it there because I kind of love it. It's not fitting with the whole, you know, Taurus moon, Virgo rising and Virgo main, like we like everything just so, but I kind of love it, and sometimes the unusual and the odd spark my interest, and I feel that that's a nice thing to have around this Beltane upcoming. A few key things before we go in and look at the different bits on the altar. I feel like Beltane is coming with bells on this year. There's a lot of wildfire, wild primal energy. As always, memento vivere is what comes to mind, which means remember to live. And I've already talked a little bit about that I think the ancestor element gets forgotten at Beltane. And I talked about that on the Spirits of the Loving Dead post on Instagram, because I made some, and that's here in my little gorgeous little cauldron. It's also at the base of the goddess here. You can't see it because the roses have taken over slightly, but it is something that is a part of this altar. And the reason for it is I feel that Beltane, being the opposite gateway, it reminds us of our ancestors who want us to live, who want us to love, who want us to find contentment, and that's both love of the self and for others, and that connection through the spiritual ecosystem. So I just thought I would quickly mention that, and we shall talk about the altar pieces. So the first thing is, let's start with the tulips. I saw these tulips and I was like, I must have them. There's a lot of flowers on the altar for Beltane this year, a lot of roses which are slowly drying out, so I wanted to quickly record this before they're in stages of drying out. But the tulips are really interesting because the red tulips are very much associated with love and passion and fire and Beltane goodness. The white tulips are about forgiveness, and I thought that was really, really interesting. So the idea of finding the self and coming back to the self in terms of spiritual magic. White tulips are often used to claim worthiness. And I thought that was a really wonderful energy to bring into Beltane. If you saw my post yesterday about the new Rhiannon smudge, Rhiannon has been coming in with bells on this last couple of weeks, well, for the last week or two. And it started, well, I know a priestess of Rhiannon. She runs my red tent, and she gave me a Rhiannon candle to help with self-love and healing over a year ago, and I've only used it very occasionally for those big moments. And so that was really interesting. And then I also grabbed this spray when I was in Glastonbury for the first time in a really long time to shop. I'd been going a bit for the priestess training, but all the shops have only just recently opened up. And I have been using this alongside, where's my one? Ooh. Profesh. Alongside Love Potion for myself. And then this is a new label for Starry Eyed Supplies. Isn't it gorgeous? And I'll just pop that on the altar. And that kind of sovereignty and finding love and opening yourself back up to love and believing that you're worthy of a really glorious, magnificent love that really balances you rather than drains you is a big part of my journey. And a big message for this Beltane. So the tulips work really well. We have Catshaw's gorgeous artwork back here, of course. We have Nematona. She's never left. Goddess of the Sacred Groves has never left. Who would have thought it, with it being me in sacred groves and forests and hedgerows and all that stuff? Who would have thunk it? And here we have Ellen. So Ellen of the Ways is said to open the roads at Beltane. And if you are on Patreon, on the appropriate level, there is a Celtic ebook / course coming out very soon for Beltane with Ellen of the Ways. She is the Celtic goddess that we are focusing on for that. And if you are not on Patreon, you will be able to purchase it should you wish. They're really great. I've been really enjoying them, going in depth, reclaiming Celtic goddesses for the Wheel of the Year. I've been loving doing it. And we have the Wild Huntress there by Laura Tempest Sakharov, as always. She doesn't leave. And I found this Andraste picture by, I think, was it the Magpie? Let me see if her, and technically this is from Spring Equinox, as you can probably tell. Her animal is the hare, and she was on the Celtic course for, no, it doesn't have her name on it, for Spring Equinox. But look at the little ravens in there. She's just, I love her. And so we reclaimed Andraste as a Celtic goddess of Spring Equinox, and she is the goddess of Boudica, if you didn't know. And also, if you didn't know, we have just announced that together, the Girl God Anthology and myself have announced that we are doing the Anthology of Boudica, and submissions are now open. So if you want to be writing something or sharing some artwork for Boudica, you can go to Girl God Anthology and look that up and do so. Right, let's carry on with the altar itself. So we again still have the Laura Tempest Sakharov candles on either side. They've got little roses. I was like, I've bought so many roses, I've got to find places for them. Pop. But I do really kind of love them. And so from on either side of the goddess, we have the white offering bowl and the black offering bowl, which represents duality, light and dark, life and death, and everything in between. I don't think of these as being complete polarities. Of course, I think everything intermeshes and interweaves in a labyrinth. I brought the red labyrinth bowl out here for Beltane. It's usually on the Morrigan altar and is very indicative of the blood journey within, but I really wanted that here for that Kundalini energy, or I need a more Celtic version of Kundalini. I found the Celtic version of chakras, so I don't have to use chakras so much anymore, but like there must be a life force, life blood snake rising in there somewhere, and that's likely going to be part of the Beltane ritual that I will be doing, possibly sharing for everybody. Possibly just on Patreon, I'm not sure yet, we'll see. And we do have quite a few white, a mixture of white and red, as you can probably tell. So I've got a white candle here that's been kind of burning for Caradon and Rhiannon, really. It's kind of a purification-based healing of the self candle. Really need to light it. I might actually, how many candles on here? No, there's only one on here that I want to light right now. Well, I'll light that afterwards. We have the little cauldron for the incenses with a little rose down here. And I got one of these from Starchild in Glastonbury. It's one of their two-tone ones, but also I think it looks a bit naughty. I was like, it looks like a penis. I need it. I amused myself anyway. So I forgot to mention, right, so in the two bowls there is Baby's Breath, white and red candles. So there's more red and pink on this side and more white ones on this side. And then I actually harvested some wisteria today. So roses I have on my channel already. There is I Can't Witch Without Roses, telling you all about the different, oh, one of the roses have fallen out of the goddess place. What are you doing? You've fallen out. Let us reclaim you and pop you back in. There she goes. So wisteria gets this really weird bad rep. I really don't like a lot of what they say about wisteria. They're like, oh, it's sorrowful and wistful because of, you know, wisteria. I'm like, that is not the energy that I have ever picked up with wisteria. It's quite joyful and playful and fae-like, and I feel like it just gets misunderstood. I feel like its energy is reminding you to be hopeful and romantic, and that you can still find that in the world, even though the world can be rough sometimes, which it definitely can. It can be depressing, to be honest, and the last few years have been incredibly depressing. So if you're on Patreon, you know about these already. If you're not, then you don't. I found these for 50p, both of them. There's two of them, like two little sort of... Now, technically, these are supposed to be to place your musical instrument on, and I was like, whatever, they're totally goddess, slash, they could be horn god as well, to be honest, to be fair. They look a bit more horn god at the minute. I originally was like, they're moons website, but they're 50p, so I'm not arguing. I was like, 50p bargains for me, la la la. So yeah, and there's, right, so I will say that technically the kind of sweet jar to draw in love that is meant to be in your life is the only kind of love magic that I will do. You don't do things to interfere with people. It's just not on. But it is obviously a little bit more of the hoodoo tradition to do jars like this rather than Celtic. But the jars work. They work really, really well. I really enjoy them. Honey is as ancient as time and comes from all over. So they are a part of it. And I love it. So that's why they're here. Plus, you know, look at this lava fountain going on. I'm going to have to seriously heal this altar cloth afterwards. But I was like, I can't not. Here we have the Wynne Abbott gorgeous goddess Willendorf temple, and it's an oil burner. And recently on Instagram I did a little video showing you how you can use loose incense in the best way possible. This is really cool. So this came from Sons of Asgard, and this is actually cedar. So they've actually done these kind of wooden sticks which are a replacement for the Palo Santo. So this is English cedar, which is really cool, and I really like that as a way of cleansing. And I dig it. I dig it. And as I said, down here in my little silver, this is my little, I love it. Plus it reminds me of Cullen from Dragon Age, and he is my fantasy husband. It's like if ever I could marry someone from the video game, it would be Cullen from Dragon Age. So wishful thinking, I think, to be honest, but hey, that's some of the energy behind Beltane, isn't it? And like I said, in here is Starry-Eyed Supplies, Spirit Offering Powder for the Loving Dead, and you can find out all about that on Starry-Eyed Supplies now. And then the centerpiece is right here. Oh gosh, she's so gorgeous. I love her so much. This is the Philippa Bowers goddess statue. I maybe bugged her to make more of these. I was like, are you going to make any more of these? Because I really love them, and I've been looking for years and I can't find them. And she, I'm not saying it was me that inspired her to do it, but it totally was. And and she made some more, and I grabbed one the minute I could, because she's open here and everything is placed into her. I just love her. And at the base is more of the offering powder for the ancestors, and Rose is just inserted in with some baby's breath. Baby's breath has that sort of maiden aspect going into that loving energy. She's quite Ellen of the Ways, baby's breath. She reminds me of Ellen, and she has that sort of dreaming vibration. And I do love the mixture of the red and the pink and the white, because it has that kind of the dream of something better, the hopefulness of something better, bringing in love and really connecting to that, but also bringing in the ancestry aspect here, because Bob's here. I'm just calling him Bob because he's a Skelly Bob. This is something that one of my dearest friends bought me from the Cathedral of the Dead. He's not a real skull, obviously, but he has been in that energy, and he's just gorgeous. I love him so much. He's on every single altar. He's usually popped in there, but in the room of the goddess for death and rebirth, because I'm groovy like that. But at the minute, he's a bit like, I'm overloaded. There's too many roses in there, Joe. It's not my thing. I'm out, and he's down here. And then we have the little naughty penis rose quartz there for some masculine virility and, you know, good loving, if only, energy. And here we have two fox bones tied together with a red thread. And this is very synonymous with a lot of ancestral work. And it also reminds me of a ritual that I mentioned, that the priest of Rhiannon, and I know she does this ritual called closing the bones, and she does it primarily for people who have come out of childbirth, but she also does it for people who need to close the energy from the past and heal and reclaim their sovereignty. And she did it for me about a year ago, or maybe, yeah, about a year ago, and I was in so much pain, and it just was a big moment of reclaiming self and sovereignty and a little bit of that Rhiannon energy. So that's a little bit of what it represents, as well as the red cord of fate, finding people who we're meant to be with in this lifetime, which would be nice, wouldn't it? So that's it. That's the Beltane altar this year, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I kind of love it. Let's just have a quick sweep. Oh, you can also see, of course, oh, I've forgotten her name. Wild Weaver Crafts. Her crow, as always, and the fox is there, and Morrigan has a rose, because, you know, not that the roses are associated with the Morrigan, because they're not, so don't come down here and go, because I know roses are not associated with the Morrigan. I was just giving her an offering because there were so many roses. I was like, do you want one, Mama? And she was like, yeah. So she got one, and that's the story of that. But yeah, you can see that her little altar shrine is there as it always is, because she has to be a part of everything, because it's the Morrigan. So that's it. Many blessings. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you're doing for Beltane. Let me know if you're excited this year, and if anybody else feels these energies that are on fire this year, because I feel I'm going crazy with them. I'm going crazy with these Beltane energies this year. Many blessings, everybody. I'll talk to you all very soon.